We are going to go back to the 23rd of June, 1990. And we are going to watch young Terry Funk.
Oh, yes.
And young Stan Hansen. Stan's 41, Terry's 46. And this was a match which is often wrongly called the Amarillo River Match.
Right.
It's not. It is a match.
Is it in Amarillo?
Barely. It's not in Amarillo.
It's not in Amarillo.
No.
That's a problem.
There's magic about it because it is. How can you be two such great performers? You get to that point where you go, do you know what we can do? We don't even have to work.
No.
What we can do is do pretty much nothing. But as long as there's something that people go, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, as long as I do my nothing with weight.
Yeah, or we can walk about a lot. If we walk about a lot and get near people, people will go, one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
They clump.
They do. This match for me, it's got a mythology about it. The reason for that is I got really, really into wrestling in late 89. And the only way that you sort of like saw other things apart from the WWF, which was on Sky, which I didn't have until 1990, was to get Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, the inky mags that you would only find in the worst newsagent in town. Yeah. And I was a big reader of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And in November 1990, which was an edition that had Sting winning the NWA title on the front, they had a 4-page series of photographs
from
and a write-up of this match.
No way of getting it. No way of finding it.
No way. And this sounded like, I'm watching SummerSlam 90, Hogan versus Earthquake.
Yeah.
Watching Great American Bash 1990, Sting and Ric Flair. Yeah. And then there are two guys who I'm only aware of through the Inkies, through Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And I find them both a bit frightening because they're outlaws. They're not in WWF, they're not in WCW. They don't seem to have gimmicks. And they seem quite old and a bit sort of like, time itself. And then there's this story about them having what was basically the single most thrilling, exciting match I'd ever heard of in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
It's not. And
the key.
Even if it was, it's filmed very far away.
Oh, I mean...
on what feels like a very static camera for what needs to happen.
I'm going to say that this is as bad a quality piece of footage as you can watch before it gets actually unwatchable.
Yeah, even for the Daily Motion host of Mega Sting 1981, whose most popular video is the Sandman entrance at One Night Stand 2005, it was dipping below what he would probably regard as being good quality.
I think so. I think it is that thing of you go, well, I mean, it's there for the historical record, but no more than that. I mean, the match itself, it took place in the polluted armpit of southern New Jersey, the port of Pennsauken, a very industrialized river area, a lot of industrial traffic. Yeah.
Very, very red river.
It's sort of river where the men who've been in it are grey permanently, like some like weird metal.
That man who drinks colloidal silver,
Yes.
The blue
it
man.
was an event called the Rumble on the River, which was for a short-lived independent called the WWA. Very little is known about the rest of the card. There's only sort of rumours about what was on it, but some of the names included S.D. Jones, who was a low-level WWF star in the early 80s, the Tahitian Savage, no one knows who that is, and a guy called Bill Gollix.
Bill Gollix? I don't think I've ever heard the name Gollix before.
No,
very
it's
pleasing
amazing,
to say. It's like the word goiter.
It's also funny because his name is Bill, and you got the burr there.
Yeah.
So it is every third day people must have said, Mr. Bollocks, and he'd have to sort of go, Gollix, it's Gollix.
Are you on the Bill Gollix steroids?
I should imagine that at this level he would not have been. He would have just been a fat man. Terry Funk was actually a substitute for Kamala, who was originally booked for this bout. The funny thing is, again, if Kamala had taken on Stan Hansen, they would have stayed in the ring, they would have run around, but they wouldn't have done what these two do.
No, and also, like, Funk always looks like he's coming out of a river. Do you know what I mean? He just always looks like he's had a dredging, doesn't he?
It's really sort of like it's a family fun day.
Yeah.
And they've sort of gone at 6 o'clock, there's the wrestling. And
Stan
Hansen flogging everyone.
Well, Stan Hansen at one point, like, makes sure, like, a child isn't her after he's, like, knocked him over. It's just, everyone just starts wailing and it's good stuff. I mean, the more I see Stocky Stan Hansen, and the more I see him, like, posters of him in Japan, the more I sort of go, I think he's great.
Yeah, I think...
A stocky, tobacco-chewing monster.
Yep, he is. And also, outside the ring, delightful little face. Like a sort of... A Danish man. I don't know what I mean by that, but that sort of thing. You can see someone going, we hope you very much enjoyed your stay. And my wife and I, he's just... I
hope you enjoyed your time on the Eco Farm.
Yes. You see, we are not all so bad. There is something about him which is, I think, and it will seem like a weird thing, I think Stan Hansen is very underrated. Right. Because when we talk about the greatest of all time, I don't think he's mentioned enough. And I would put him at probably too. I think he is just astonishing. He's an amazing performer. It's so much better as a whole than anything that's the sort of sum of its parts. Yeah. They start off just pushing each other around the ring and there's some sort of like, bang your head into the table and stuff like that. And what's sort of interesting, I suppose, again, time has changed this, but at the time, that would have been quite radical. It would have been, dare we say it, a bit extreme. Yeah. And what's really funny about this is they're basically inventing ECW here. There's no ring psychology. Yeah. There's no pacing. There's no high spots. We go out and we just go kick. And we go into the crowd and everyone just goes, this is fucking brilliant. And then we don't really have an ending. No. And then they eventually disperse. That's sort of it. And what's really funny is at this time, 1990, it's almost like ECW is wanting to be born. In this specific area of sort of Philadelphia and New Jersey, you get lots of little independents and they're sort of pushing towards what will become the ECW extreme style. So there's this sense of, you hear people really early on in this, just in the background, there's a chant of we want blood, which seems like a sort of mid-90s thing rather than an early 90s thing. There's also a bit where they're near the river and someone says, drown the motherfucker! And I was like it's coming up through the earth in this place. And it's ECW just going, I am the future of wrestling. I will manifest myself.
Stan Hansen has been disqualified for throwing Terry Funk into the river.
I know. Well,
what did you expect?
Spoiler.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Hansen has been disqualified for throwing Terry Funk into the river.
They get to the river.
They get to the river.
They do get to the river. And all of it is just like, it's like the Blair Witch Project, this video, because it's all jerky handheld and it's so much sort of ghosting on the videotape that it's like they've all got halos.
Smeary, everyone. And like people walking into frame, looking off camera into weird directions. It was a nonsense for most of it, but it was really enjoyable.
It's like footage of natural disasters, isn't it? Like when the waters start coming into a little Welsh village, everyone starts going, and people start running towards the camera. It had a vibe of that. Yeah. They're only in the ring for 3 minutes.
Really,
and then they're
out. And then they're out.
Going and using chairs and stuff. And the crowd just start running with them. There's a part of me that goes, yeah, they obviously, you had that river near them and they were like, they're going to do it. But there's also a part of me that goes, it's almost like the crowd gets so excited moving along with them that it's almost like they ford them towards the river. Yeah. And then Funk and Hansen are just like, well, there's only one thing we can do here. Yeah.
Take a few years of my life, but,
Yes. They get to the edge of the river. It's got a lovely riverbank that rolls down as well. It's just quite a nice, romantic, almost like a Mississippi river.
That's where I met your mother, where Stan Hansen threw Terry Funk into the water.
Funk does his little spinning toe holder on Hansen, and Hansen just kicks him off, and Funk just jumps straight in. That's it, splash. And as he gets out, Hansen then picks him up and body slams him into the river, which is genuinely, it makes a really satisfying noise. It goes splash. I did notice when Funk is there, the first thing he does is he throws mud into Hansen's eyes off the floor. And I was like, that to me sort of says Funk is a proper fighter. And the number of times he's been down and he's just like, to get up, what you do is you just have to throw whatever's near your hand at them, and that buys you like moments of seconds, that you can attack. The cameraman by this point loses them, and there's just bodies and bodies.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. It's all you've seen is one body slam and a man jump in a river. And it's just the people make it, just running around, just like losing their minds.
Folks, if you want to see the action, I suggest you go to it. I don't think it's coming back here. But thank you all for coming. Hope to see you soon.
When it ended and they were like disqualified, I was like, oh, Jesus, that was a massive anticlimax.
Yeah.
But they give you the same amount of time again, just brawling back to their porter cabins. And it's so much fun, like these weird old men with a sort of Pied Piper crowd behind them. It's like immersive theatre.
Yeah.
It just, and they're fighting all the way, and then they get back. There's no back. I mean, it's a porter cabin and there's a chemical toilet there. And Funk just goes into the porter cabin. But Hansen, he can feel that they haven't quite sort of topped this yet. And so he comes out of the porter cabin with his bull rope and he starts flogging the door of Funk's porter cabin. And he starts whipping the steps. I like that. Steps. Someone then pops out the door. They chuck a jug of water over him as well. And Hansen then gets in and he gets Terry Funk and he hangs him over the side of the stairs with his bull rope. And Funk, he gets to flop around like a big fish. And the tannoy man keeps going, well, that's it, folks. That's it.
It's still going.
Literally watching a man being hanged. Don't think I'm going to be leaving just yet. And the guy keeps trying to wrap it up. And the two of them just keep on going. And that stops the crowd from leaving. And you see right at the end, a couple of the police people there are beginning to panic that the crowd aren't listening and aren't going. And Hansen's carrying on, keeping them there. And the police are getting skitterish. It's so magic, this, because nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens at all. You and I could wrestle this match tomorrow. So let me tell you, zero appreciation. But we could wrestle it tomorrow. Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? You can watch such a bad piece of footage, such a ruined, wrecked piece of footage of a match which is objectively no good. And you can come out of it going, I think these two might be my favourite wrestlers of all time.
The very best.
Just amazing. But yeah, I shouldn't think Stan Hansen listens to podcasts. Shouldn't think he has any CDs.
No.
But,
got mud on them. Can't even want to read. Got mud on them.
But I do think that, he would listen to this and just go, let me tell you, if watching that match has made you think I'm good, or better than you thought I was before, then you know absolutely nothing about this business. Yeah, and I would have to take him down. Have to.
Simple with him.
I can tell you, he must be what now? 80, 82?
Yeah. If you were in like a family restaurant and Stan Hansen was celebrating his 81st birthday with his family, and you came up behind him and he would hear you get your belt out.
Oh, absolutely.
And he would finish you. He would hear that sound.
I would run at him with a knife. And I would sort of go, the last thing I remember, I was running. And now, why can I see my own body over there? Slowly things going dark. Absolutely. It would be an honour to be killed by Stan Hansen.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah.
I love Stan Hansen.
I wish I was dead. Until next time, Wrestle Peter! People are waiting, really, to sort of go, I hate you. And that's the nature of the internet. That is fine. There was one person,
that's the nature of wrestling.
There was one person who said, I'm so glad I read the comments because I don't have to waste 17 minutes watching this. And I was like, you could have saved fucking 18 if you'd just get your hands off your keyboard.